So, everyone, I want to welcome you to April, which is National Minority Health Month. And I am here with actress Kelly Jenrette, and she has graciously lended her time to ABGH to talk about being the caregiver, right? A lot of times we talk to survivors, we talk to people who are going through chronic illness, going through cancer, but I think it's equally as important to talk about and talk to the people who are caregivers, because there is a unique perspective there that I think and a story that needs to be told. So I want to welcome Kelly to the stage. Thank you so much, Kelly, for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having me, Sophie. I'm excited to be here.
Oh, thank you. So you have done so much, and I want to just give you your flowers and give a little intro. We dive in, if you allow me to. I know you're quite humble, but still, it is to introduce you to the crowd. So Kelly Jenrette is a native of Atlanta. She now resides in Los Angeles with her husband, Melvin Jackson Jr. And interestingly, in 2018, she and her husband became the first African-American married couple to be nominated for Emmys in the same year. Kelly's Emmy nomination was for her portrayal of Annie in season 2, episode 4 of The Handmaid's Tale, which I know a lot of y'all seen. Her latest was working on the second season of All American Homecoming, the spinoff show for the CW's hit show All American, with seasons 1 and 2 currently streaming on Netflix. So definitely check it out if you haven't already. Kelly played Megan Brooks in the award-winning show This Is Us. Her 2 latest films can be found on Netflix, Uncorked and All Day and a Night. In the latter, Kelly stars alongside Jeffrey Wright and Ashton Sanders. Kelly is also in the second season of the hit anthology show Manhunt: Deadly Games. She can be seen as Winona on the Facebook Watch original Limetown. Kelly has also been a series regular on the Fox comedy Grandfathered, starring John Stamos. She's had recurring guest star roles in Mixed Dish, Here and Now, Pitch, and Graves. You may also remember her from her 12 Kmart commercials as Kmart Kelly. So, Kelly, that is quite a resume. That is fantastic. And that interesting tidbit about you and your husband is amazing.
Yeah.
I definitely didn't for knowing you. So
yeah.
How did that year?
Say that again.
How did that feel that year?
Amazing, because I am an introvert at heart. I would love to just go to work and then come home, watch TV, read a book, do whatever in the house. Yeah. But when you are nominated for an Emmy, that's not what is on the menu. What's on the menu is you got to go here, you got to talk to this person, you got to do this interview, you got to walk this red carpet, you have to do all the things. And fortunately, my husband has never met a red carpet that he didn't like. He's never met a stranger a day in his life. And so it was a beautiful balance of, come on, babe, we got to do this. And then, but also let's rest. And so I was just so grateful to God that I got to go through that whole experience with my husband. So when I felt like anxiety rising up in me when we're on this massive red carpet, I could just look to my left or my right and I'm like, there's my husband. All right. Yes, I'm okay. Yeah.
Oh, that's nice. That's nice. It's balance, that yin and yang, right?
Mm-hmm.
Your shirt, just as it says grateful and touch upon that experience. A lot of it that I hear is grounded in support, right?
Mm-hmm.
And so that's kind of a nice segue for us, because as the caregiver, that's what you're offering, right? All this type of support. Sometimes it's emotional, sometimes it's even physical. And so with that said, why don't we dive in? And I'd like to start by you telling me about your friend, telling me about who we're here for tonight and why we're doing this, just to get started.
Yeah, so my sister and best friend, her name was Shannon Sylvain. She was a firecracker. She was a comedian. She fought me at every turn when I was like, we are going to do stand-up comedy together. And then she would do a whole bit about how funny she was not. And then I just laughed the whole time. She was a giver. She was a great listener. She was bossy. She, could get on you if she needed to. She worked on the other side of the entertainment industry, worked with NBC, her job that she had before she transitioned. She worked with HBO. She was married to an incredible actor, my brother and friend, Bashir Sylvain, and they were married for 4 beautiful years before she transitioned. And yeah, she was like my sister. We would talk to both our parents like, so who's lying? Okay, because either you all are my parents or y'all or her parents. We are two, like, this is just uncanny.
Oh.
We were two peas in a pod, and I don't know, somehow we became Mabel and Ethel. She was Mabel, I was Ethel. And those were the characters that we had when we were just tired, and we would go into our country voices and just, Mabel, please come on. And she'd be like, Ethel, I don't have time. So yeah, she was an amazing woman that I miss dearly.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That is so hard to find. And I love, with that type of friendship and that level of friendship, you can just, call things like you see it and just describe every ounce of them.
Yeah.
In a way. And that's definitely to be treasured. And I can sense from you that you're somebody who really kind of honors those things and finds those things, doesn't take those things for granted, sort of.
Yeah.
Thing.
And she left, her parents are now my parents. Even when she was alive, I call them mom and dad. She has a brother, Brian, here, not here in California, but he is still here with us. And so being able to stay in contact with them and love on each other and just be there when it's like, yeah, I was missing her today. And just to be able to share memories is a beautiful thing as well.
Yeah, I love that. We always worry sometimes when someone is gone, what are those other relationships going to look like and be like? And so it's so clear that they're just as strong, if not stronger in certain ways. So, so tell me, what was it like when she was first diagnosed, when Shannon first heard the news that she had colorectal cancer, and how old was she when she was diagnosed?
I think it was just before her 31st birthday, or 32nd birthday. And it was 2016. I don't remember the exact day or month. All I remember is her calling me and she said, it's cancer. And the next thing she heard was me picking up my keys, running downstairs, getting in my car. And I was at her house because at that point we lived maybe 5 to 7 minutes apart. And so I was immediately at her house and was like, okay, this is where we are. Like, let's suit up, put on the combat boots, get on the fatigues, because we're going to war. And it was shocking. But I think just from my perspective, I was like, we're gonna go to war and we're gonna win. There was never a doubt in my mind that we were going to win the battle against colorectal cancer.
And when we all wish and pray for friends like that, first of all. When you found out, did you know about colorectal cancer? Did you know what it was? Did you know what symptoms people have with it? Anything like that?
No, I didn't know anything about colorectal cancer. Was just all I don't even think we had, The only time I even heard about a colonoscopy was when she had to get one, and the fight that she had to go through to get one because she was so young. Just trying to figure out what is this colorectal cancer. But when she was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer. They had to remove about a foot of her colon immediately. She had to, have a procedure done to lift up her ovaries so that she would be okay because of the radiation that she had to go through. So it was a lot of just kind of figuring out like, wait, what? And then she has to do what? And then you have to go and it was like, wait, just trying to figure it all out in the midst of her being a newlywed, to her husband. So it was a lot that we were all trying to navigate through and understand what this thing is. We were told that it is preventable, that people needed to get checked. It was just, there was so much information.
Yeah, it sounds it. So for those who are just tuned in, we're here with Kelly Jenrette, Emmy-nominated actress and caregiver of her, her best friend who unfortunately was diagnosed with colorectal cancer at a very early age. So just to set the stage with some kind of medical information, because unfortunately you have to become well-versed pretty quickly. Colorectal cancer is a cancer that affects the large intestine or the colon. And unfortunately, it's becoming more and more common in younger people because a lot of people, don't know about colorectal cancer who are under age 40, under age 50, because traditionally it's not really thought to be a cancer that affects young folks. But unfortunately, we're seeing more and more of this. So it's not just a phenomenon, but it's really a known trend where we're seeing, higher rates of colon cancer and rectal cancer in people under the age of 50. And so, it's so critical, like you talked about, kind of fighting for unfortunately, sometimes people do have to fight for, for what they need in order to arrive at a diagnosis. And so it's so important to impart that for a lot of people, it is preventable, right? It is beatable when it's caught very early. Yeah. Everybody is as lucky, particularly people who are younger, because oftentimes their disease is much more far along. And so, what was, at least from your perspective as a caregiver, as a dear friend, what was the hardest part about her journey? Of course, you mentioned she's a newlywed, right? She was diagnosed when the disease was very far along. So when we talk about stage 4, we mean that the cancer has grown outside of the large intestine or outside of the colon into other areas of the body. What did you see as the hardest part of her journey?
I think just the helplessness that she felt, that we as caregivers felt. The chemo days were especially hard, where you're sitting in this chemo center for hours, and then you go home, and then you have to deal with the after effects of chemo and the nausea and the vomiting, and you're hungry but you can't eat, and the skin sensitivity. Your taste buds are gone. So all of those things, this new normal that she had to deal with. And Shannon was always very independent, always very much on the go. And now with this diagnosis, when she was diagnosed, it was like, you can't do those things anymore. You can't just get up and go, not because you don't want to or you don't have the desire, but physically your body is saying, I'm not going anywhere. And then the weight that she lost. And now it's like you have this closet filled with these amazing clothes that you can no longer wear because you have literally dropped 4 to 5 sizes within a matter of months. And so I remember one time when she was in the hospital, and Bashir, that's her husband's name, he was kind of hugging her and she was hugging him. And I just saw how like her bones just through her back. And in that moment, I took a picture because again, in my mind, I'm like, I'm going to document this journey so that when you beat this thing, we can look back and be like, look, remember this moment? But there was just a sense of helplessness that I felt, and many times, oh, I'm gonna cry. That I was like, I'll take it. Like, give it to me. Let her have a break. Let me have it for a moment. But that's not how it works. And so I think that was the hardest part, is just the sense of helplessness that you feel, because you can't do anything but be there as a support, when she is throwing up, holding her hair back, helping her bathe, and just even allowing her to be comfortable with that. Like, if I gotta help you go to the bathroom, I'm gonna help you go to the bathroom. We have the same parts. It's fine. Don't be embarrassed. Like, let me be here for you. So yeah, it was challenging.
I mean, it's a whole new level of vulnerability for both of you. I mean, especially for Shannon, of course, but
Yeah.
I think especially at such a young age, right? Dealing with something. And a lot of times people are completely healthy, and then this kind of breaks. And I think especially for younger folks, their body is able to kind of take more on before things get bad. And so, through that whole experience, what did you learn about yourself?
I learned that I'm a really good friend. And that sacrificing is, and I don't want to say something that comes natural, but just that I have the capacity to help, even in my own personal life, because I spent more time with Shannon than I did my own husband, because he would get up and have to go to work. And so he was gone, and 9, 11, 12 o'clock, I'm over at Shannon's house all day, maybe leaving at 4, 3, sometimes not until 6 or 7. Then I come home, and now we're chatting on the phone or Marco Polo. And so, I think sometimes you think like, I don't have the capacity to do those things, but, and I'm not like trying to pat myself on the back, and I hope it doesn't sound cavalier when I say I'm a good friend. I meant, maybe I should say that I allowed God to humble me to the point of wanting to be a servant, to be there to help my sister and friend, no matter what, moving past things that made me uncomfortable. And even in the tough times, still just like, I'm here to serve, focusing on the goal.
Yeah, I mean, it's hard to articulate that answer. I think you hit so many critical points, and a lot of that you don't realize in the thick of things, right? Because you're just like head down, like you said, I'm a soldier, kind of like we're going to battle sort of thing. But now reflecting, I think it's, that's beautiful to hear. And I think, especially if you've never been a caregiver before, it's a really difficult road to navigate.
Yeah.
Can you think of any, well, before I get into other questions, Again, if anybody's just tuning in now, we're here with Kelly Jenrette. She is a Emmy-nominated actress and also was a caregiver for her best friend Shannon Sylvain, who unfortunately passed from colorectal cancer at an incredibly young age. And so we're here to bring awareness during National Minority Health Month about this disease. We're encouraging folks who, especially those who are under age 45, who have any digestive complaints like blood in your stool, unusual abdominal pain that you've never had before, a change in your bowel habits, right? You normally a 3 a day or 3 a weeker, then all of a sudden that changes for some period of time without provocation. You're losing weight without trying, right? It's just a little bit easier than you would expect it to. Any of those things should bring you to the doctor. And it's not to say that it's something necessarily life-threatening, or it's not to say that it's absolutely cancer, but these are symptoms that should not be ignored. I think that that's the most important thing. Don't ignore symptoms. Get them checked out, get them, talk about them with your doctor. Don't be shy about these things. I think that a lot of times, as I'm sure you can attest, Kelly, there's a big stigma that's attached to talking about digestive problems, talking about the gut, talking about stool, talking about poop, all of these things, like people are so afraid to talk about their family history. And those types of conversations can save lives. And so, the unfortunate truth is that this is happening more and more in younger people. And so we need to do everything we possibly can, especially, for our communities, for our friends, for our loved ones, to not make this a recurring theme.
Yeah. So, and one thing that her doctor that she went to, because she had blood in her stool, which she had been experiencing off and on for 10 years. But prior to the last doctor she went to, she was always told, like, it's hemorrhoids, it's your diet, change it up. And the last time in 2016, when she had been diagnosed, or no, it was 2016, she had gone to her doctor, and her doctor told her, take this suppository. If the bleeding does not stop in 10 days, come back. And she came back in 10 days, and her doctor said, most people don't come back. And so she was just grateful that she came back. And when she came back, she told her, she got the ball rolling and said, we need to get you a colonoscopy. And so just also want to encourage people, follow up. Like, yes, go to the initial visit and then follow up, because that's the part that will also save your life. When you go back after you've done the things that they've told you to do, follow up.
Yes, that is critical. That is critical. Sometimes people take that first step and then they're like, okay, I've done what I need to do. But those next steps are absolutely critical. That is such a good point. Thank you for bringing that up. So kind of going back to what you were talking about before, as hard as the days were, can you recall any, I'm sorry, my battery just went crazy. Can you recall any good moments, any good times during her journey that you cherish?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I do remember we had gone out to eat, and she had mentioned, like, she had done her last round of chemo and radiation, and I just did like a yay, like I screamed in the restaurant. And she was a little embarrassed, but I was like, my sister just finished her chemo and radiology, like, yay, radiation, she's done. So she was a little embarrassed, but it was fine. We got to go to this Stand Up to Cancer event. And they were like, you cannot eat inside the theater. And so we had gotten some snacks from the concessions, and we were walking in, and the usher was like, just please know that you can't eat. And so I'm very much like, well, they said we can't eat. And she's like, no, we're going to eat. So we're in the theater trying to slow, sneak and eat. And then as we're leaving for an intermission and about to come back in, the usher was like, if you could just please not eat. And I was like, I told you. So it was just, little random moments like that, but still just memories that I cherish with her.
Yeah, I love
Yeah.
that. So I want to stress to folks, the age for screening is now 45. So we say 45 is the new 50. So 45 is the age when you should start your colorectal cancer screening. Even earlier, if you have any risk factors like a family history of the disease, if you have Crohn's disease or ulcerative colitis, or certain genetic mutations that run in families that can increase your risk. So you should start thinking about screening, earlier than 45. So once you hit that age, you are ready to go. And then even earlier, if you have those risk factors that I mentioned. So we're on with Kelly Jenrette. ABGH is so happy to have you. I want to ask you finally, what advice would you give to particularly young caregivers, who are kind of helping people out, not just with cancer, but, chronic illnesses that can be debilitating or things that people can be embarrassed about? What kind of wisdom can you impart?
The first thing I would say is make sure you take care of yourself too. Whenever we would have like prayer calls for Shannon or anything we were doing, because so many people were always like focused on Shannon, I would make sure to say, and also Bashir, and also Bashir. Like, let's also pray for Bashir, because it is a lot. And you are taking care of a person who is dealing with something that they don't want to deal with. And so that they have good days and they have bad days. And oftentimes, just even without any kind of diagnosis that you're dealing with, when you're having a bad day, you tend to take it out on the person that's closest to you. And so, understanding that sometimes you will be a punching bag, metaphorically speaking, or figuratively speaking, you will be that punching bag. And so finding a way to make sure that you have an outlet to take care of yourself, I think is so important. And then also just making sure you offer grace in those moments where they are mean, where they are having a bad day. Just understanding that nobody wants to be in this situation. And as a caregiver, we are there to serve. And one of the things Shannon told me when she was, because people are always asking, like, what do you need? What do you need? What do you need? She was like, just do it. Just do something. If you come over and you see I have dishes in the sink, just wash the dishes. Don't ask me what I need. If my basket is overflowing, just do the laundry. And so I would also say that as a caregiver, sometimes don't ask, just do things, be it around the house, clean up, vacuum, mop, dust, just do things. Don't feel like you always have to ask the person what they need. And then just let's try to find time to laugh, If you want to sit down and watch a movie together, play tic-tac-toe, get some cards, just try to find moments of joy and laughter in this very difficult time. And also document things, record things, ask the tough questions. If I had to do it all over again, I would say, give me your passwords for your laptop, for your phone. What are your passwords for your bank account? Like, get all of the things in order so that if they should transition, that's not something that you are trying to figure out and have to deal with. Get all that stuff out of the way. Prayerfully, you won't need it. They'll be fine. Just in case it's not, you have it. So yeah. That's what I would say, and take care of yourself. Yeah. Take care of yourself.
I mean, so much good advice there. I think that whole oxygen mask metaphor that we use is very applicable here, because you those who need it without caring for yourself first. So, I'm so grateful, as like I said, as your shirt says, that
Yes.
you that you were allowed to, that you gave us your time today. I think this conversation is so important. I think it's not really discussed enough, because it's, that support is invaluable. And I wish that we can kind of work on our relationships with other people better. So in these types of moments when we need each other, we can do as wonderful a job as you did with Shannon.
Thank you.
Yeah. So I see the warrior in you, but like with such a soft side, it's like so, beautifully and then like support and sweetness. So that is a gift, definitely, that a lot of people do not have. So thank you for sharing it with the world, for sure. So I hope this won't be the last time that we work together.
It will not be.
But yeah, so thank you everyone for tuning in. If you have any more questions or thoughts, go to blackandgastro.org. And Kelly, can you give us your handles and everything so we know where to find you?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Kelly and Jenrette, Facebook Kelly Jenrette.
Excellent. Thank you so much. Have a good night, everybody. You too, Kelly.
Thank you.